Last time we began talking about time signatures, and we are going to continue with that lesson. First, let's review. We organize music into measures, and a time signature tells us how many beats we should have in every measure. This top example is music without a time signature. The bottom example is the same music, but with the time signature 4/4. That means we are going to put 4 beats together in a measure. So once we get to 4 beats, we draw a bar line, which makes the music a lot easier to read. The top number of the time signature tells us how many beats are in every measure. So in this time signature 4/4, the top number is 4. That means there will be 4 beats in every measure. The bottom number tells us what type of note receives 1 beat. Because the bottom number is 4, it is telling us that the quarter note is going to equal 1 beat. To understand the bottom number, you need to understand how each of the different notes relate to the whole note. This is a whole note. Let's look at the notes as fractions. So if we're looking at them as fractions, we're going to say the whole note equals 1. Yes, I know in music, the whole note typically gets 4 beats. But we're looking at it as a fraction. So the whole note is going to equal the whole thing, 1. Okay? Stay with me. So in math, what is half of 1? 1/2. What note is half of the whole note? The half note. That's why it's called a half note, because it is worth half of the whole. So it will always take 2 half notes to equal 1 whole note. What is a quarter of 1? 1/4. So in music, what note is a quarter of the whole note? The quarter note. That's why it's called a quarter note, because it will always be worth a quarter of the whole note. It will always take 4 quarter notes to equal 1 whole note. What is an eighth of 1? 1/8. What note is an eighth of the whole note? If you said eighth note, you are correct. It will always take 8 eighth notes to equal 1 whole note. Wait, doesn't a whole note get 4 beats? Yes, but only when the bottom number of the time signature is 4. The bottom number of a time signature isn't always 4. In music class, it's been 4 for us this whole time, but you're older now. So the bottom number of the time signature can also be 2 or 8. Let's look at the time signature 6/8. The top number is 6, so that means there will be 6 beats in every measure. But the bottom number isn't 4, the bottom number is 8. So you have to think which note is an eighth of the whole note, because that is the note that is going to receive 1 beat. The eighth note is an eighth of the whole note. So in 6/8 time, it's the eighth note that receives 1 beat. It still takes 8 eighth notes to equal 1 whole note. That would mean in 6/8 time, the whole note would get 8 beats, which doesn't work with this time signature, which is why in 6/8 time, you never see a whole note. And that is your lesson on time signature for today.